Business environment, assignment 3, the economic environment. So basically P5 and P6. In P5 I'm asking you to describe two different economic environments and their impacts on a selected organisation. M2 I'm going to ask you to compare them. D2 evaluate how future changes in economic is only part. D2 does come up in the next assignment, but I'm just going to look at the economic part. If you don't get all these both parts, you don't get the D. So you're looking at working as a retail sales consultant. You're examining how Moss Bros has managed to become a profitable company. Moss Bros nearly went out of existence in 2008. However, it's now turned itself around. Your client wants to know how Moss Bros has reacted to different economic challenges. This is so they can adapt their own model. P5, using Moss Bros. Describe the impact in two areas, recession and growth, onto the business cycle. Describe the possible impact of the business activities at that point in the business cycle. You consider at least 6 of the following areas. Okay, so following on, we'll have a look at those 6 areas. What I want you to do is these 6 areas here, I want you to be able to describe 6 of them. I would look back at your resources that we've gone through in the lesson and the data and statistics that we talked about. What I want you to be able to do though is to make sure that you link it to a business area. So for example, for 6, you need to do 6 slides in total. One dealing with basically you will need to be able to describe what happens in recession and growth to supply and what the impact is on a specific area. The same with demand. What happens in recession and growth and say to a certain area. Inflation, what happens in recession and growth and what says to a certain area. Availability and cost of credit. So for example, interest rates being at 0.5%, what impact would that have on finance? What impact does it have? Government policy like VAT, what does that impact does that have on something like sales in recession, and what happens in growth? Again, with interest rates, does that have an impact on finance? Does that have an impact on actual sales? Global interaction, so something like let's say the cost of cotton, does that have an impact on production? What is that impact in both recession and growth? What's happened? Again, look back at what you've looked at in class. Ownership of the business, what happens in recession, what happens in growth, and business operations, what happens in recession, what happens in growth. In a presentation, compare the challenges to the business with regard to the business cycle, recession and growth. Compare and contrast how this impacts on these areas. HR, customer service, sales, marketing, production, procurement. If this is laid out, the M is actually fairly straightforward to get if this is laid out logically, and I'm going to give you a suggested way to lay it out, because by definition you'll start, if you state both areas, you should be able to get quite a nice structure running through your assignment. So P5M2, what I'm looking for, a structure which allows you to describe the two environments and be able to compare them, data, and also for you to be able to apply that knowledge to the case study. This is a structure I would suggest you use for both P5 and M2. So for example, if you looked at one area, if you had a slide like this and you had 6 of them dealing with 6 of the issues, so for this one it says government support, say what happens in recession to Moss Bros, say what happens in growth, and basically use a bit of data there, a bit of data there, what happened, okay, what was the issue with this one issue, how did the business react to it, and how did a particular business area react to it. And so for example, if you looked at interest rates being at 0.5%, how did the finance department deal with it in recession? Did it change? What happened also in growth with interest rates? Did they stay the same? Did they change? How did the finance department deal with it? You'll need to use your own research and notes from the assignment brief. To compare them, what I would do is add an extra slide and then basically compare what's happened in those two areas and the area, and actually describe in detail what's happened. Okay, and that will be your M part. So basically your P part was there and your M part is there. What is actually the impact on the finance department? What could they use 0.5% for? Has there been a change? If there hasn't, why hasn't there been a change? Explain it. Use a bit of detail and a bit of nous. And that should get you through quite a difficult part of the assignment. This part D2 is in a Word document. In a report, evaluate how future changes in economic factors may impact on your strategy for your chosen business. Based on this, make justified recommendations for the development of their business activities in the UK. What I would do, folks, is basically use, and you must use different sources. The website must be analysed and be a reliable source. For part B, really just focus on part A. That's the main part. And basically what we're asking to do is, if unemployment was high or low, what would happen in the future if that trend carried on, so using information. What I would strongly suggest you use the top one, and you use the links from BBC News, which is the economic tracker, and in the business page. You can find these links on the brief if you go and open them online, and you can just go and click them, and you can also do your own research on Google News. You shouldn't have to. There should be enough on that one and that one to give you enough. What I'm looking for is your ability to think beyond, to think actually what are the consequences if this economic trend continued, and that's the key question. What's the impact on Moss-Bros or on the functional area if these economic trends continued? How are they going to adapt? How are they going to change? Because that tells me that you're actually being able to apply and evaluate what could happen in the future. You're making a judgment, which is a higher level skill, and that's what I'm looking for. Good luck.